boy. I like it for whatever reason. Makes me a Honda boy. It runs good. We'll see. There was a spark plug wire that was popped up on the number 4 cylinder. I'm hoping that's it. It's the only one that's kind of loose, so I'm gonna see if this runs better right now. I think that's probably the issue, and we'll try and fix it. Definitely ran better right there, so I'm really thinking we'll do another pull right now and see, but I think that may be it, guys. Sorry you guys fell down there, but I think that's it. This car runs hard, man. It's a fun car. It seems to get worse when the motor's warm, so I don't know if that's 100% a spark blowout issue, but definitely as the engine warms up, it gets a little worse. Race car. Check this out, guys. I know it's a little hard to see, but you can see the AEM. It's idling a little fast, so we're at 11.6, 11.2. I want to get that around like 13.2, 13.3 for E85, and then I also want to get it to be like 11.90 wide open while in boost, 11.70. Got a nice good coolant temp, just at 160 now after all that driving and everything, so I like it. This car is cool. Got the tortillas, of course. So let's look at the hood, or under the hood real quick. Pop her open. So the plug wire that I was worried about was this one. It definitely seems better, but see, that's got a nice snug fit to it. This one's the only one though right here, this number 4. Like, it doesn't have like a nice tight fit, so I want to make sure that that guy's nice and tight down in there. It's hard to see, but I want to close that up a little bit and make it, you know, just tighter. So this is what I'm talking about with the distributor that could be off. If we gotta loosen this and adjust it, because if you look inside here, since this is all done electronically through the MSD and the AEM EMS, this guy just has a big fat thing. It has to be within a certain amount of degrees in order for it to spark. So if it's not, just like a regular distributor, you'd adjust it to tell it when to spark. That set your timing. This guy's got a longer connection for that to shoot at any point in time pretty much that it's connected, but it has to be in sync with obviously the physical timing of the motor. So in order to do that, you would just set this, and you can see it set straight up and down. I want to actually pull all the wires out of it, and or pull the number 1 plug out and set it to top dead center, and then see where number 1 plug wire is contacting, and make sure that we're basically right in the middle of that, or kind of before that, so we can go a little more advanced in the timing. But so far, guys, this car is phenomenal to drive. I actually really like it the more that I drive it. It's very aggressive, very race car, or street, or not street car, but drag car-esque. But I really actually like that. I think it drives really good. Non-power steering, manual rack is definitely tough in a front wheel drive, and you can feel it kind of wanting to do a little bit of torque steer. It's not too bad, surprisingly, but this car definitely rolls out. It's pretty fast for what it is. I definitely want to obviously get the spark issue nailed out, because I feel like it's definitely losing some power because of it, so we just need to get it done. But I'm gonna go eat here in a minute, so I'll see you guys after that. My beautiful fiance made some dinners for me and her sisters, who is not here yet. Oh. Well, hello! Literally, as we were saying. What are you doing, little kitty? Is that your auntie? Hmm? Some beans? Bean and cheese and saucy burritos. Ooh, well, that's some good looking sauce you got there. Some cheese. Alright, what up, you guys? It's the next day. So we, had some dinner, went over that, and I just kind of hung out and we talked and, did some stuff. So now I actually want to go over checking these spark plug wires. It's one thing I didn't do, so I want to ohm them out. So we're going to get a voltmeter, we're going to set it to ohms, set it to where it'll beep when you touch them together. You can also go and physically ohm them out and see the resistance, you know, from one end to the other through the wire. And that's something we'll do, but at first we're just going to check. Basically, it's a continuity test. So not really ohming them out, just more continuity to make sure. A lot of people don't know spark will jump big gaps. I mean, that's what it does on a spark plug. It's so much voltage that it will just jump that gap. So if we have an issue with the wire not, you know, or being broken, so we go to do a continuity test and the wire doesn't have continuity, it's obviously jumping a gap. And every time it jumps a gap, it loses energy. So we want to be able to maintain that energy and that spark potential, so that way we get a really good solid spark. In order to do that, we got to have a good solid wire. So let's yank these wires off and we'll take them over to the bench and then we're going to look at them. So we're also going to do this with clean hands because I always get my hands dirty. I'm going to go ahead and mark these two so I know which wire is what. Alright guys, so we got our spark plug wires out. We're just going to grab our voltmeter. So now we got our voltmeter. We're going to set it to the beep. So if you ever look at a voltmeter, voltmeters always have one with the speaker on it, and that speaker symbol right there basically means if we take these two and touch them, it beeps. So this is called continuity. So we're going to do a continuity test before we go over here to an ohm test. Before we ohm it, I just want to make sure we have continuity. If we have continuity in all of them, then we know at least the wire's got a solid connection from end to end, and then from there we will ohm them out and see if the resistance is an issue, if there's like a bad connection. So this is, I think, the one that I was worried about, number 4. So you guys see we touch it end to end. Good connection. Move on to the next. Okay, now we're going to ohm that out. So now we're switching it to ohms. We got 96 ohms, 95, 94. Okay. 80, and you can see the ohmage is going to drop as the length of wire drops, and that's kind of why I wanted to do it in this order as well, so you guys could see that. 60. So there, you guys could see as we went down each wire size, starting from the biggest to the smallest, the amount of resistance dropped, which it should, as every wire is a different length and every length requires different resistance to get from end to end. So everything here looks good. I don't think there's anything standing out. That all makes sense. So what we're gonna do right now, guys, is do a quick crimp down on all these ends. We're gonna crimp them down so we know it's got a nice tight connection. That way, when it clips on, and we know that clip is a nice solid clip and it's got a good metal on metal contact, and that's where we want our power to go through. And I'm gonna try and do the same for each end on here. One wire I didn't forget, guys, is the coil wire. I went ahead and just ohmed it out. I just didn't show it. Ohmed fine. Everything's good here. Dang, I'm all zoomed in. Check that out, guys. Woo! Alright, so what are we going to do now? We're going to check to see and verify that the timing is right on this. By timing, I mean it's not actual timing. We're looking at distributor timing. So we're going to go ahead and crank the cylinder to number 1, top dead center, compression stroke. And then we're going to use these fancy chopsticks. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Let's jump into it. Now typically the right way to do this is to get yourself a setup where you're on the crank. And then if you're on the crank, you can spin the motor, but I'm lazy. So take your chopstick, stick it down there. Obviously there's no spark plug in there, because if there was a spark plug, we wouldn't be able to stick this down in the cylinder. Then we're going to rotate the motor over until we're at top dead center. Make sure your stick doesn't fall all the way into the motor. I don't think this one will. It will go a ways down there, but you can definitely see the chopstick, and it didn't go all the way down, and that is basically all the way down. The piston is at bottom dead center right there. Chopsticks usually work well if you got a Honda or just about any motor, and the reason I like them is they're wood. So if you accidentally, on like V8s, the angle can get a little weird coming in from the spark plug hole. So it typically helps if you have something wood in case you go a little too far or something. It's not going to be a huge hazard. And then also, if it disintegrates in there, wood isn't very violent or very strong, especially these chopsticks. So it'll literally, the motor will just blow it out of it and you shouldn't have any problem. So another way to verify is you can see that our timing marks here are at almost top dead center or up here, so we know we're at bottom, just past bottom dead center, and you can tell by that. And so we're going to be coming back up, and what we're going to do is we're going to put our thumb over this hole or our hand over it so we can hear air seeping out of it. Sometimes I actually use the spark plug boot itself, and I'll just put it down in there so that way the rubber's kind of sealing and you can hear the air hissing coming out of it, and that way you know you're on your compression stroke. So we went ahead and did that. We got our chopstick out because we know it's going to be coming back up right now. Hear that? If you listen, you can hear the air coming by this, so we know we're on compression. Hear that? That's how we know we're on our compression stroke. So now that we know we're on our compression stroke, we can go ahead and pop this bad boy out of there, take our chopstick, put our chopstick back, and we're gonna see where our chopstick hits its highest point, and at that point, that's where we wanna go and check our distributor. We want it to be right in the middle of the highest point. See right there? I think that's it, guys. And our cam, if you look at our cam marks, are pointing up, which is how they should be. If you look down on the crank, you should be able to see that as well. I'm gonna go a little bit further so you can see it drop down, and then we'll spin it back. See, it's going down already, so we're gonna go ahead and just back it up just a hair. Right there is perfect. And you can see there's kind of a little bit of play at this top dead center, so you wanna make sure you're right there where there's no movement. Right there is perfect. So let me show you the timing mark. So we can come over here and we can see these timing marks. You can see there's one there pointing up, one there pointing up. So we know that our engine is in time. And then also if you go to the crank, you could look and see the mark on the crank. I can't because the car's on the ground, tires in the way, but there is a hole in there that you can get at to see it. But we're going to go ahead and we want to look at the distributor and see where it's lining up with our #1 cylinder to make sure it's basically right in the center of the pad, so that way we can time it a little direction either way. And if it's right in the center, then we know that's not our problem. If it's a little bit off, we're going to stick it to where it is right in the center. This guy, I already got it loose, so we're going to go ahead and pull it off. This is our #1 right here. The bottom left is our #1 spark plug. So we want to make sure that the position right here is right in the center of #1 and where it would be, and we can kind of look at it from this side as we go to put it on and just kind of eyeball it as it comes off and see, is that right about the center? It looks to be so. I'm going to do a little better looking off camera just so I can look at it myself a little easier with two hands and a flashlight. So let me do that, and then I'll get back to you. So I'm going to show you guys where my finger is. It's a little hard to see, but my finger's at the beginning of this rotation. So if you guys look at the beginning of this guy right here, when I lined it up and basically put my finger where this guy is coming off, my finger is right here. So if you look, we're kind of at the beginning of this. This actually, I think, rotates that direction. So not at the beginning, but we'd be more so at the end. And we may be a little far off, you know, of where we want to be. This should be pretty much in the center, and you can see it's towards this end of it. So what I want to do is loosen that nut and crank the distributor, basically turn the whole thing. Now guys, I know the lighting sucks and I'm sorry. This may not even be the fix. This may hurt it. I'm not sure, but in my experience, I've always had it to where it's usually helped in the long run. So we're gonna get on it. I'm gonna go ahead and mark this too, just so I know. So now we're gonna put the spark plug wires back in, make sure that helps, and then after that, we're gonna fire it up and see if it drives good. I was making some changes last night. Changes I made were obviously affecting the car and as far as how much fuel was getting sprayed. I'm gonna go back to the settings it was on prior to this so we can get it to run and do what it should do. Ultimately, that's gonna tell us whether or not our changes are making a difference or not. And then from there, I want to go over, I'm going to basically retune this car from scratch because I want to learn how to tune. It's on an AEM EMS. I think it's very good to be able to learn AEM. I like AEM, and ultimately the reason I want to learn AEM is because I want to put the Fox body on an AEM EMS. And so one day when it's Coyote powered with a big turbo, it's probably going to be on an AEM Infinity, or depending on whatever they have at that time. If it's newer, bigger, better, badder, we'll go that route and that option. For the meantime, I want to learn the basics of AEM. I really like AEM, the little bit that I played with it. I think it has a very good layout and I'm fond of it. I haven't used the Holley Dominator or any Holley yet. So Holley's supposedly pretty good, and I heard it's one of the easiest for people that are beginning because it does a lot of correcting for you. To me, that's cool, but I understand, I think, a lot of it and know the ins and outs of some things, the basics, what you need to know to tune a car. So I rather not have all that help. I like to have it basically do what I tell it to do when I tell it to do it, and I think that's very cool with the AEM. And obviously a Holley will do the same, and you can tell it to not do anything that you're not wanting it to do. It's pretty surprising what I've seen with how well a Holley will keep an engine running by itself alone, even on big power stuff. It's really impressive, and I think that's where, you know, they excel. But I haven't got to see a lot of AEMs. I think they're kind of in the same boat. Obviously I think Holley's a little ahead, but nonetheless I am a fan of AEM, and this car already is on an AEM, so we're going to go ahead and learn the AEM. But let's get the plug wires back on, reflash the tune back to the stock tune, and see what it does. Now, I might have screwed this up as well because when I adjusted the distributor, depending on when it makes contact is going to affect timing. But theoretically, if the ECU knows where the crank is and knows where the cam is, it's going to know, depending on the crank, when to set the spark. All we're doing is getting that one part in range. It's always going to basically be in range, and that's what we want to do, is get it in range. So whenever the ECU says fire, it's in that range making contact so it can fire. So I don't think we screwed anything up. We may have, but I'm pretty sure we should be okay. We'll see, who knows? But this is all learning, guys. This is all, you know, what it's about, in my opinion. I'm learning with you guys. We're messing with it together and we're figuring it out, so. It sounds like it's down a cylinder or two, so I'm gonna go change the thing back to where it was. Didn't mess with the distributor. I went and messed with the spark plugs. I screwed up the order. I went 1324 and it is supposed to be 1342. So we swapped those around. So hopefully now it should fire up and run good. Let's see. It was almost running on 2 cylinders, so that's not bad. Much better. Okay guys, so one thing I dislike is this is pulling a bunch of fuel out. You can see it's 1250. It was 11.0 when I first fired it up, and so it's taken it a while, and the wideband the wideband correction is actually kicking in and taking fuel out of it. So I want to be able to make some changes to it and not have it do that. But I'm really curious to see if the spark blowout problem will be solved by adjusting that distributor to where I think it should be in order to get good spark. We won't know until we go drive the car, but it may have been on the edge, and I think we may have helped it get away from being on that edge. So let's see. I think we fixed the problem with the spark plug wires and adjusting the distributor. I think we were a little bit far off, and I think it was trying to jump that gap, and now that we adjusted the distributor properly, it is now not falling off that key and allowing it to have proper spark. Pretty sure that's what it is, but we're gonna go make another pull just to verify, but I am pretty darn sure that was our problem. I'm so happy. That was so annoying. It was bugging me. It idles fine. It does everything fine. It just acts like spark blowout. But everything is right for it to not do spark blowout, except for either the coil's bad, which usually coils just go bad. They don't like, I'm not gonna work only under higher load or anything like that. So it's really rare for that to happen. I'm not saying it can't, but I'm just very happy that we figured it out. Difference, but a little bit. So, well, all right, you guys, you just saw we fixed the friggin' problem. We've been chasing this problem for a while now, so I am thrilled to get it fixed. That means the car can get cleaned up and sold. So if you guys are interested, this car is for sale. I'm asking $6,500 for this beast. It made $350 as it sits. I'm debating turning it up just a wee bit. We'll see. It's pretty good for right now. It is definitely faster than most of the cars out here on Montgomery. That is for sure. I feel like the gearing is pretty long. I wish it had a little shorter gearing. Now, I don't know how much my tire adds to that, but this thing is crazy long for the gearing. Second gear does like 80 miles an hour or something stupid because the car revs to the moon, which is part of the reason why the gearing is so long. This will rev, I think, cutoffs to like 84, something like that, but still, that's crazy. This thing only goes to 6,500. Yeah, so basically, that's it for this video. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you are new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And again, if you like this video, give it a big fat thumbs up. It helps me out, and I appreciate it. So, keep wrenching on your own cars. Keep kicking butt, you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. But it's time for you to get the heck out of here.